Well, welcome to tonight's meeting. We're going to proceed on the 24th agenda that was posted, and we'll have a 1-minute delay.
Thank you.
Diana, do you have minutes to go over?
Last minute, yeah, the last minute.
Did everybody receive and review the last meeting's minutes?
Hey, don't
Are
Joseph.
there any comments on the last meeting's
So now
minutes?
look at share what is going on here.
Then I'll welcome a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Vinnie. Second.
Okay.
Michael seconded it. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call. Lauren.
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Chucky.
Yes.
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 I'll abstain because I wasn't here for the whole thing.
Okay. So everybody voted affirmative, except for Brand, who abstained since he wasn't here. I put together an informal list to give us an order. Why don't we start with Article 23, the Geriatric Authority. So we'll try and run water right after geriatric.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Dave Condrey is here, so maybe we can do that.
I just think it'd be easier on you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
You want to hand these out?
Yeah.
So I think the first thing that we'd like to just go over real briefly is we're starting to turn the corner, which has been good news. The Board of Trustees and the administration has worked really hard, specifically on the staffing aspect that was so bad during COVID. And that was, of course, the issues that we were trying to come out of. Not only that, the nursing staffing issue was also a major shortage. Those, of course, have now been rectified. We're actually getting some good patient mix. Our census are up. We're looking better and better every month. Are we even yet? No. Are we getting there? We're getting there. So saying that, I wanted to have Phil go over some of the profit and loss and give you a handout so exactly where we are from year to date from the previous year. And I believe you've got a couple of comments on that one. You got enough of those?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thanks, Anthony. You don't age for a day. Come on, Phil. Your age is like your golf game, not getting any better.
That is You don't get better with it.
Vinnie and Michael.
Thank you.
Special gifts for me.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, grab me one and...
Okay. You want me to do it? You want-
Yeah, well, basically, in front of you, what you have is the net operating loss from November 22 to November 23. And then as you continue to trend down the columns, you will start to see the improvements of what we were trying to do and what was designed. So when you get to the March number before depreciation, we have basically gone from a negative loss of $295,000 in November of '22 to 93 in March of '24. And we continue to trend in the positive direction And with that, Phil can certainly go over some of the payer mix and what we're doing to make those changes, but the census continues to improve on a daily basis.
Yeah, a couple of things. Just to go back to the operating loss, this is pretty much a cash flow loss because, as you know, we expense principal in the P&L, okay? We even expense capital in the P&L. So if you look at March of 2024, last month, we had a loss of $93,000. Depreciation on a monthly basis is some $43,000. So your cash flow loss for the month of March is $50,000, okay? Our census has continued to gone up. We went from 95 in December of 23, 95, 98. In March, it was 100. In April, we're looking at 102. So we're certainly trending in the right direction. And basically, it's a revenue-driven model, okay? I mean, we really need, Medicare patients and private pay patients to make the model work, and that's what's happening, okay? On the expense side, we dramatically reduced our agency help. I think for the month of...
That was quite a bit.
For the month of March, agency was, in 2023, March was $121,000. March of 2024, it is $49,000. So agency has gone down, which certainly improves the P&L. We've actually, we did some minor staffing cuts. I wouldn't say overly significant, but we did make some cuts, okay? And we increased our private pay rates. So we've done a number of little tweaks, but, we are busy. We're certainly trending. Now, you've heard this in the past, okay? And, a year ago, and we have improved. Where we want to be, no, we're not there, okay? We're not quite there. And I guess that's why we're here, okay? We have $1 million from the IRS that we have not received, okay? If you know, the employee retention tax credit is really kind of suspended for the moment. We had $1.8 million that was going to be coming to us. We received $800,000 in July of 2023, which was very quick because we filed in April of 2023. 3 months later, we got $800,000. We're still owed the $1 million. In terms of our cash position, we have about $250,000 in the Unibank savings account. Our operating cash goes up and down. Depends on payrolls, pays on payables, et cetera, et cetera. So that's, that floats. But and in terms of the $2.5 million that was given to us in November of 2022, we have $500,000 of that left, okay? So our situation and what we're really kind of looking to do, we're asking for $800,000. We really want to bridge, we need to bridge the time that we get this $1 million. So we're hopeful that this $800,000 is the last time we have to come to you, okay? We're aware of our situation. The $800,000 should take us hopefully through October. Hopefully we get the $1 million from the IRS by then. And that's really what we're trying to do. We have considered alternatives. And, we have a Plan B that we've talked about that I'm not going to present here. But we have a sense that
Working through it.
Countryside certainly has value. Okay? And in terms of the ability to sell it, I think we could sell it very quickly if we had to. We're not on that path. I mean, the path now is let's see where the numbers take us.
So let me interrupt real quick, and
Sure, no, that's right.
I wanted to bring it up because I wanted you, as well as town meeting and the residents of this community, to know that that facility that everybody supported in '07 and '05 to borrow the money to build a facility, including finance committees at that point in time, was a major, major contribution to the town of Milford for one reason. We have a 68,150 square foot facility today. That's what that building is. Doesn't include Building 3, which is another 4,000 square foot building that's been recently updated and rehabbed. So whatever we do to protect this town and going forward, I want to make sure that everybody's aware of what we have for value. It's not just a nursing home. You have a property up there on 10 acres of land. That building today would cost, and these are current numbers that I just got over the past week and a half, 68,000 square feet. This is without the ground. Over $28.8 million to replace that building today if we were building that building today without the ground. Land value is another $6 million for those 10 acres, without the parking lots being improved or drainage done. So we've got a major asset in this community. We're trying to leverage the time we need to be able to have that value in return. So when we go down that road of Plan B, we're looking at that value for the town. If we ever do get rid of this facility and sell it, the town's responsibility is some of that note that's callable, and the balance of it has to stay on the books for a number of years, because and it's just going to sit there, and then the town maybe put whatever balance that's left into an interest-bearing account. But we still have to pay the interest and the principal on that balance up until the time that note expires. So I just want to make sure everybody's got the overall scheme of this. Trust me when I tell you, we're carefully planning the process. And we wouldn't be here if we had that IRS $1 million coming in right now, because everything we're doing is we're preparation and planning for that facility to be even again, and a Plan B if we don't get there. So that's my comments for tonight. If you have a question concerning that, that's
Yeah, I mean, the only other issue I want to emphasize, if we continue to improve, that only increases the value, okay? The other issue, and, we didn't have a lot of paperwork tonight, and we don't want to go through a lot of detail. And we're trying to do, we need a bridge, we need $800,000 to get us to a bridge, and performance has improved clearly, and I think April is going to be better than March. And we just want to see how that rolls out. But again, we appreciate what you've done in the past. We don't plan to come back here, okay? I mean, we want this to be a one and done. And, we can say that, Al, because we get the 800, and then we got $1 million from the IRS. That gives us, a pretty good length of time to make things happen. So it's not to give us the 800,000, we got to come back if we want to change plans.
We're not doing that.
We got another $1 million coming. It will come. I mean, it's filed. We know it's correct. I mean, Countryside employed people during COVID, had a 20% reduction in their payroll. They certainly qualify. We had an outside consultant file the amended 941s. We feel very clearly that we'll get it. So again, the 800,000 gets us, through the summer, October. We get the $1 million, and then we figure out where we want to be. But that's all. I mean, we'd want to be, one and done with this, and we think we have a plan in place.
But again, the process is to retain as much value as we can. This is not a fire sale. We don't want any fire sales. We've seen what the values are in the fire sales. You get nothing. We're building this portfolio to make this a profitable organization. And saying that, this is the bridge that will get us there. We don't want to come back. We have no intentions of coming back again. So those are my comments and Phil's comments, and if you have questions, we're here to answer. We appreciate the opportunity.
Andy?
First of all, thanks for coming in, guys. Appreciate it. Is there a capital reserve fund?
We budget $150,000 for capital every year,
Okay.
and that's in the P&L. So we actually,
It's in the,
as we spend
as you spend it?
as we
Yeah.
spend it. Yeah.
Okay.
But we actually budgeted $150. And it's
Okay,
there.
but there's no separate
No.
sinking fund, as it were? Okay. Have you guys looked at selling the ERTC rights?
No.
Okay. On the
I just don't
sale,
think it's going to have a lot of value, Andy, given the fact, again, if it was an ongoing program and it wasn't suspended, I think you'd have a better chance in terms of selling it for a discount. But being a suspended program, it didn't make any sense to me.
the sale efforts, you guys aren't prepared to say any more than what you've said tonight?
Right, correct. Correct. I mean, the biggest thing,
Can't right now.
And the biggest thing, which has been hard for us and hard for you, is confidentiality. And it's really about staff and about patients. I mean, patients will come, but staff is very important to us. And Countryside, I was in healthcare for 20 years at the Milford Hospital. I've been a trustee member for 3 years, but Countryside is an outstanding nursing home. People care about patients. We have a good facility. They go the extra mile. I knew it was good when I was at the hospital, but I really didn't know how good it was until I became a trustee and got involved with it on a not quite daily basis, but I do go there. But in any event, it is really a quality nursing home.
And this community continues to donate. When we as a community get involved with helping the community, the Phenofield dugouts, the Phenofield snack stands, I was totally involved in that project when we built the snack stands. And we got an awful lot of material and labor and donated. I spent 6 months. I took my time off. I did the same thing when we did the additions to Countryside, when the town meeting and the finance committee voted to do the expansion and the addition. I did the same thing then. We still have community members today donating to that facility, naming a loved one after a room, $15,000 for the activity room. It still goes on. And there's endowments when people do pass away sometimes from family members for the facility. So it's again, when I go down this road, everybody knows that I'm passionate about it. There's no secrets there. But for the benefit of this town and the community and the asset of that piece of real estate, all we're trying to do is to build the platform to make that really valuable. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's why we can't discuss anything beyond what we're doing here right now.
So I guess my position, and then I'll turn it over to other people, is I've reviewed the financials. It looks like, at least in the short term, there have been some trend improvements. I'm a little more concerned about 3 to 4 year trends than 3 to 4 month trends. I don't know that what we've got here is sustainable.
No, Andy, like the stock market, they look at the most recent quarter.
I know,
Earnings
I know.
are being released today,
So, given the uncertainties of whether these are sustainable trends or actually going to be continuing improving trends, and that this committee has consistently taken the position that we're not prepared to fund anymore, I guess, unfortunately, my vote on the article would have to be no, but I'll turn it over to other people.
David?
Yeah, just quick question. I guess a couple of questions and a couple of comments. One is we received a report, I think it was like almost 25 years ago now, they did an audit or a review of the facility, and unfortunately the same issues back then is happening now. And one of them is I've been hanging my hat on is the receivables. I mean, there's no control. What we get is the P&L, but no one talks about the balance sheet, where I think the last time I saw was $2 million of receivables on the books. And back then it was probably the same amount, and they said you have to control your receivables, and that trend is continuing, that it's, it's still the same then as it is now. So I'm curious about that. And the other question I have is that you said there's a plan. Do we have a written plan on how you're going to improve the facility? Because I know when you go into, your board, I think it's the zoning board, if someone doesn't come in with a plan or sign documents, you say, well, come back and we'll continue the meeting until you have a written plan. Do we have a written plan of how you're going to improve this the facility? And lastly, I'm probably going to be a no too, and the reason is because the lack of information going back and forth, I guess, is disappointing. Why can't we just be getting financials as part of your standing operating procedure? Just give us your financials instead of us asking for it all the time. And the other thing is you really need to clean up that balance sheet, because the last time I looked at it, you have negative numbers in cash. We don't know, we just don't know what we're looking at. We don't see a bank statement reconciliation. I don't know if anybody there oversees the bookkeeper or not. So there's a lot of, I understand the passion, and I understand the goodwill we want to do for the community, but we also have a financial responsibility as well.
Okay, so there were 3 questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
First one was receivables.
You mean receivables?
Right. One is the receivables, like what is the, how's the balance sheet look? How's
And we subtract receivables every day. You know, they're kind of a rolling number.
But I mean, Bill,
It's not a stagnant number.
$1 million worth of receivables?
I don't know, what did I have to look? But I know our collections are pretty good. We work hard at it. You know, we don't have a lot of write-offs. I mean, that's what you look at. You're writing off a lot of stuff? No, we're not.
But Bill, you're looking at the P&L cash flow. We should be looking at the balance sheet cash flow instead. I mean, it's great the revenues are doing good, but if you're not receiving the cash, what good is it?
Okay, Dave, hold on, let him answer.
No, I'm just, yeah.
Well, I guess I don't know what you mean, David. And, I mean, the P&L drives the cash, okay? If you don't drive revenue, you don't have cash. Our balance sheet...
But if you don't collect it,
But we don't have, I mean, the only thing I can say to that is we don't have a lot of bad debt issues, and we never have. I mean, you know, the
no,
issue...
but what's the change in receivables, though, Phil, from month to month?
Yeah, I don't know what the change of receivables is from month to month. I mean, it is, we're billing every day, okay? So receivables go up, we collect money every day, they go down. We have not had a problem with bad debts. I'm just trying to look. Yeah, and then the other issue, I mean, you talk about receivables, and we got liabilities as well, and it's, again, it's just, it's a flow of the business. In answer to your question, I don't think we have an issue with bad debts, okay? So.
What was the second question, David?
Is there a written plan of how you're going to approve the facility? Is there anything that is written that shows what, you know, what reductions are going to be made, how you're going to drive income, how you're going to save costs?
You mentioned something about the zoning board, Dave, so I want to kind of get clarity from that. As far as a plan is concerned, the zoning board aspects have to have an engineered plan on an application and then their intended use of what they're trying to do with the parcel.
Right.
So from that standpoint, and the plan engineering standpoint, we have all of that. We're dissecting what's around us and making sure anything that goes on in the future, we do not prohibit the town of Milford's 54 acres that are in back. So there's a multitude of aspects that we've been diving into and what we need to do for the benefit of the town of Milford. And it's strictly the benefit of the town of Milford.
No, but that wasn't my point. My point is that someone that comes before you needs to have a plan.
Yeah, let me...
You're coming before the finance committee. Do we have a plan? Do we know what's going on? Do we know, like,
We'll cover the
how this
census.
$800,000, you know, is there a plan for the facility? Is there a business plan?
We meet on a monthly basis. Some of us meet more frequently than that. We have a good idea what steps need to be done. We don't have a formal written plan. It's kind of an ongoing plan. We know what we have to do. We have to increase census. We have to get some Medicare patients in there. We have to increase rehab. You know,
Okay, and that's what we're doing.
And that's what we're, unfortunately, 2 years ago, when we came before you, the census was upticking. What we didn't anticipate was the staffing shortage. So what's happened since is the staffing shortage has been very significant. Our agency expense was $100,000 more than our staffing. So we've improved there. And again, you know, we think we're on the right track. We feel good about where we are. We don't have a formal written plan. Okay.
But the standard plan, Dave, as it always is on a monthly basis, is the aspects to increase cash flow is to reduce the agency, having proper staffing so we fill those rehab facility beds, which that's why we're now currently up to like 105, 106, and that's why we're trending the way we're trending and improving all the time. So it's an ongoing plan to do that, along with the payer mix that's involved to get there.
Third question, David?
Well, it's more of a comment. Is this, can we just get financials I mean, I just don't understand why we need to. I thought we should be, you know, almost working, you know, joined at the hip. And if you can just send us the financials, with, you know, on a monthly basis when they're available, and then maybe, you know, include a little snapshot of what how the
There's
facility's
nothing-
doing, and maybe include the receivable report
Just for the
without
record.
asking.
For the record. There's nothing intentional about the financials. The board meets on the third Tuesday of the month. Our financials are done like a day or two before that. The board should see them first before you see them. I think that's appropriate. And we try to get the financials out so it can be a month before you get the financials. Okay? And sometimes there have been some slips in the correct years. But again, it's a month later. It's a month later anyway. Okay?
Grant?
So I also want to,
Coming after you, just so you
I
know.
also want to say thank you guys for coming in. I mean, we've had enough conversations that
Yeah,
that
that's
you're
all right.
coming in. And you know you're coming into a headwind, which I respect you showing up even more for that. When I think about where we are, it's true. The numbers are definitely getting better than they were, but we're still losing money.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same. Principally the same conversation we've had for a long time.
Yeah.
And for me personally, when I think about really the commentary that you guys opened with, it hits home. The role of Countryside in the community is not lost to me. I have family members that have gone there. I would like it to be there. If my day comes, I have a chance to go there. But I run into a problem with this conversation.
That would be a good run, Brant.
That'd be a good one. But there's a problem with the conversation that this continues to lose money, and it's not owned by the town. It's not a town department, and we've given some money at a critical time, in large part because you owe us money, right? We're kind of keeping that alive. Let's just be blunt. The problem is I run into an issue where, as much as I want to see you succeed and I like this getting better, I have a hard time saying the taxpayers should be paying for this, because again, it's not a town department. It's really just not a. It doesn't qualify as anything that the taxpayers pay for. It's not fire. It's not police. There's a whole bunch of reasons why it's different from them, and I run into an emotional connection to what you're trying to accomplish, and respect for what you've done, through the pandemic and through everybody who's been there through the pandemic. But I get to the spot where to me, I run out of road where I realize, like, to myself, I don't think this is something that taxpayers should continue to pay for. So that's ultimately, even though the numbers are getting better, I look at it and say, I'd really like to see them get better really fast, without the taxpayers.
Yeah, I mean, we understand your position, and I think our position is such that if we weren't doing better, this would probably be a different meeting. I feel there's an element of due diligence that trustees really have to kind of follow to see what the next couple of months will be. We had a $93,000 loss in March. I think April will be better. I mean, I know the P&L, and it's about driving revenue. And so I think April will be better. And, I don't think we can avoid shipwreck, okay? I think there's a sense that, we got to see this through. I mean, that's why it's $800,000, and that's why we basically said we're one and done. But I think we have a responsibility as trustees to see where this takes us. That's our position.
If we let this go 2 or 3 years ago on the fire sale, still be paying.
Yeah.
And we're in better shape now.
And we're in much better shape now. The focus is to get that number for that plan A has been higher. And by doing that, and paying the debt down at the same time, by doing that, we're confident, we've been doing this a long time. We've had many discussions and some serious due diligence. We know where we're going. But it's also important to know that we're here to protect the town of Milford's back end. And that's why we're doing it. And it's for the value aspects of what we have.
Chris, you had a question?
I do. Phil, don't look at me like that. You know how much I love you. And you too, David.
What took you so long? Come on.
You guys know I'm the bad guy. I'm sorry. When you continue to say one and done, this isn't one and done. This is like 5 and done, first of all. Okay? It is. Phil, it is. Guys, we've asked you to come in here. And the only reason you're coming in here now is because it's right before town meeting. And you can say, oh, well, we came into the finance committee. We've asked you to come in repeatedly, and no one has come in. And that bothers me. I want Countryside. I really do legitimately want Countryside to work. But this is the first time we've seen you guys in front of us, and is it,
And I'll be the first one to tell you that on 2 occasions, one of them I had COVID, and the other one I was actually out of town and was only 1 year. So that is the reason why, and that's why I sent out another email indicating you're welcome to come to us as well.
Right.
So, and
Well-
I get it, I get it.
okay. And I'm telling you right now, I didn't hire police officers this year. I didn't hire firefighters this year. I didn't hire teachers this year because of Milford Geriatric. And it happened again last year and the year before that. We've gotten to a point now where I understand that you are getting better. I understand that. But at this point, you still owe us $14 million for the building. Plus all the money we've given you guys over the last 3 years. We're not making any money here. And I was absolutely adamant of getting rid of the Purchase Street School. I was adamant, and Phil, you were actually on the board at the time, and you voted. We're not in the real estate business. We shouldn't be. We're a town. We also should not be in the healthcare business. David, I can't even tell you what a magician I think you are, and the board is, that you've kept this going on this long. Town should not be in the healthcare business. I don't know how you do it. We certainly shouldn't be doing it because we don't know a tenth, what, actually revise that, 100th of what David and his board knows. The town should not be in a healthcare business. And right now, we have a $14 million note that we gotta pay. We're thrown in million here, million there, 800,000 here. Like I said, I didn't hire policemen and firemen this year because of you guys.
2007 and 2005 to support.
Absolutely. And in those years, I would have done it again, David.
Listen, I get it, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, I get it. So,
Absolutely. You're right.
But accusing us and our board of saying that police officers and firefighters are not being hired because of us, I have a problem with that.
That's the truth, though.
I want to see that.
You've over the years, that budget has to be allocated to you guys.
We also have massive amounts of apartment buildings that do require police and fire safety additions that were permitted over the last 3 or 4 years.
So, David,
That should have
my
been
phrasing, I
done.
apologize. My phrasing, I apologize, David. But you have to acknowledge that I need to. You're right, David, and I apologize. But the point is, I need to hire more police officers and firefighters, but I can't right now because I have to allocate money for you guys the last 3 years.
Well, I can tell you, Chris, because I was deeply involved in those massive housing projects that we were forced to do as a community. And
True.
what the tax revenue is going to be there. And also what the aspects of I had to dive into how that was going to affect the school system, because that is going to add more money to the schools than it's going to raise the real estate taxes. Trust me, I was not born the day before yesterday.
David, you're.
Very well familiar with what's going on.
And David, that's why I don't mean that you're smart, David.
Gentlemen,
But my point,
focus on,
the financials though, that's fine, but the financials are still not positive.
Yeah, and you know, as I said, Chris, you're entitled to your opinion. And I respect
Are they
your
positive
opinion.
or not positive?
okay,
But
let's calm
as a
down.
board, we're entitled to our opinion as well. And we believe that we're getting better, and we kind of want to see it through, and it's as simple as that. And in terms of prior communication with you, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. I mean, we weren't doing great. You know, there wasn't, I mean, we're here today because, you know, we have something to say. You know, it is better, but.
Michael or Vinnie?
I have
They were
some.
first, then Lauren. Go ahead, Vinnie.
Phil, Dave,
Yes.
the $1 million, that's pretty much a done deal
Yeah, I mean, unless the
coming in from the IRS?
Unless the IRS reneged on their payment, which would be extraordinary. It's in my mind, Vinnie, I mean, there's no guarantees in them, okay? And there's been a lot of fraud and abuse with the program. But as I said earlier, you know, we had an outside consultant do it, we didn't do it ourselves.
Right.
You know, we met all the tests for getting the credit. we actually got a payment already. So that would tell you that, hey, okay, we must have done the right thing. The problem with it, what happened is they just suspended payments because of all the fraud and abuse in the area, and that's what.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, we've actually reached out to our congressman, who has a liaison with the IRS, and we have a phone call scheduled
Is it
tomorrow.
Auchinleck or something?
Huh?
Congressman's last name, Auchinleck?
Auchinleck, yeah.
Yeah, something like
Ocean Claus?
Auchinleck,
Russian clause. And
Right tomorrow.
does the facility, Countryside, pay property taxes?
No, we're a 501c3.
Okay.
Michael, you were next, then Lauren.
Well, ironically, you answered the question that I had about the IRS situation, because I know they had put the hold on the program, and you were sounding pretty positive about in the near future, you're going to pick up the million, but well, you said you're in touch with people trying to get some money broken loose there, but is there really any light at the end of the tunnel on the IRS breaking loose that money?
Well, I would be surprised. I mean, typically, Mike, it takes 9 months. And I think Andy and Brad kind of had experience. It takes 6 to 9 months. We got a payment in 3 months. Now, we filed in last March, so it's already been a year. I would find it difficult to believe that after 18 months, we wouldn't get our payment. So I'm expecting it within the next 6 months.
Okay. The only other thing is, Chris, I just want to say that the town of Milford is not in the medical business, but we are a big unsecured creditor to somebody who's in the medical business. That's it.
Lauren, thank you for your patience.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for listening. My question is, I don't mean to be repetitive to what Vinny and Michael were saying, but I seem to remember reading, I don't know, about a month ago that Congress was seeking to end the employee retention tax credit, and that credit, David, you mentioned something about fraud, and I'm not accusing anybody of fraud. I'm just saying that the IRS has that credit as part of their dirty dozen list or something. And so I'm wondering what they're wondering, is that $800 or is that $1 million going to happen? And is it going to happen going forward, given the fact that Congress is trying to end it?
Yeah, Lauren. Yeah, let me just. Lauren, in September of 2023, the IRS said that they wouldn't honor any amended 941s after that period. So they had a cutoff date. We filed in March of 2023, so I think we're within the cutoff period and we should be grandfathered. Okay, but they did put a date in the sand and said, after this date, we're not going to do it. So.
Any other questions? The one thing I want to add is, regardless of how the vote goes today, 3 years ago, I asked the fundamental question, town meeting's got to decide what value is Countryside to us. And to be transparent, I am prejudiced. Countryside took care of my mother till the day she died. And every day it was worth, I don't know how much to me, but I could drive 1 mile and see my mother every night. Friends of mine who have to go to Worcester and other places can't go every night because they've got 45-minute drives. I think fundamentally the question becomes, to town meeting, how much is it worth? And David, what Chris said is true. We have X dollars to allocate, and a couple of us have said, you got to save this. We thought it was $1 million plus. What happens if it runs out in October? It's the same year, Phil, you know that. So it's not anything negative, it's just fact of life. You know, we can't spend it here if we're spending it there. But no matter what, our vote, I mean, I've said it before, we are the most influential, powerless people in this building. Because town meeting's the one that's going to decide how much is it worth. Of this 800,000, we're well aware that 400,000 of it goes to non-Milford people. And it has to, because we can't fill the place with Milford people. So that adds at $80 a million, it adds $75 to every tax bill. And that's up to town meeting to decide. So at that point, I don't see any other hands up. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And that would be,
Vinnie.
no, but what's the motion?
I'll make a motion that we take a vote.
No. I need to, what are we going to vote on?
Motion for an unfavorable ruling, sir.
Okay, Chris has a motion for unfavorable. Does anybody second that motion?
I'll second it.
Andy seconds it. Roll call. Lauren?
Really?
Good answer.
The motion
Emotionally,
is to advise unfavorable.
yes, emotionally, I would support it. I have an 87-year-old parent, and I'm caretaker. If I thought that everybody in Milford had an equal chance of getting into that facility when they needed to, I would support it 100%. But financially, being on the finance committee, I just can't support it because it's a losing proposition. I'm sorry.
Okay,
So
so there's no confusion on the vote. You are
No.
voting
Longest vote of all time.
for...
in favor of negative, in favor of an unfavorable.
saying.
So a yes vote is unfavorable.
Yes
It's a
vote
yes
is
vote.
unfavorable.
Yeah.
David?
Yes.
Chucky?
Yes.
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 No.
Okay. Vinnie voted no. So the motion passes to go to town meeting with a negative recommendation. Phil, hold off 1 second. I'd like to, no, this is about another article. Before we do water, since we have the police chief here,
Yeah.
we have, Zach, what's the number for the?
Someone's gotta be in
retro?
charge.
Why did you abstain from the
Number 7.
vote?
I just,
No,
since we have the
Brandon.
police chief here, we'll get to you in 1 minute.
86,312. 2-year retro, all of 24 and 25
You look tired, Robbie.
Okay, to make this quick and sweet, 86-3112, the contract has been agreed to and closed. Our practice has always been not to budget what we think we might possibly negotiate. Let the negotiators negotiate with a clean slate, and then once they've come with a conclusion, to vote to fund it. Does that make sense? So $86,312 would be the amount that the police contract needs.
The dispatch contract.
Dispatch.
Motion for favorable.
Michael, favorable, we have a second?
Second.
Chris, second. Any discussion? Lauren,
Chief, is there anything you
roll
would-
roll call.
Is there anything you wanted to tell us about,
Yes.
or are you happy just to see us vote? That's fine.
David? He's saying thumbs up. Chucky?
Yes.
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 Unanimous. Thank you.
You came in there for that, chief.
Good to see you. Uncle Bill?
Too.
86-312.
No, do it now then. Do it now.
Yeah.
What?
He's got 2 other articles.
Mr. Chairman, he's got other articles. Robbie looks tired enough to pull his gun, so I really think we should do it.
Okay, sorry, promotion.
That's all right. No.
Chief, talk us through 26.
I don't know, why does he have to say promote fire?
That's fine. Retirement, you just want
Yeah, so
to...
retirement, there's 2, the retirement, and then there's the contract negotiations.
Articles 26 and 27.
26 is fire, the promotions, 27.
27 is police.
26 is police.
You had it mixed up on the
And
agenda.
it's flip-flop.
Okay. 26, special legislation for promotions.
Yeah, so this is not a cost item for the town at all. What this is going to put us in line with other agencies. It's the ability to take the deputy chief's position out of Article 2 and basically have deputy chiefs negotiate with the select board for contracts for their positions. At this time, you know, it has to get approved at town meeting floor, and then it has to go to the legislature in Mass to get signed off. And that's where we are with that. It's something that is, I think, completely relevant with the times. You can't lump a deputy chief's position in with an Article 2. Deputy chiefs, you know, work in the stead of the police chief, and there's really not much difference in the background in training and expertise. I know in the fire agency it's the same way, but in the policing industry, the deputy chiefs typically negotiate their own contracts.
I guess I'm confused.
Hold on one second. Now, Chief, my understanding of this is that if I'm promoted to deputy chief, I don't automatically get some of the buyback, the benefits that I had.
That's absolutely correct.
So what we're doing here is saying, here's a promotion, but we're taking away your benefits.
Right, and if, you know, if you look at the town report that everybody's so hot and bothered about, the deputy chiefs made less money than frontline supervisors, because, I mean, the frontline supervisors, as misleading as that headline is in the Daily News, that's outside contractor pay that pays the majority of those salaries. Well, the deputy chiefs don't work those details like that. They don't have the ability to. Why? Because I basically keep them busy with other chores and duties, and they're not in the pecking order like the union is. But they also lose all their buyback. That goes by the wayside when you become deputy chief, or, I mean, as chief, you can negotiate these things in a contract. The deputy chief's position doesn't have that ability. So if you're somebody that's, you know, done the right thing by the town, let's say you've done 25 years before you become deputy chief, and you know, I've never called in sick at the last minute. Me personally, I never have. And some people say that's crazy, but I never have. So, you know, you have people who've done that, they become deputy chief, and let's say they're gonna be deputy chief for 2 years and they retire. All that due diligence and allegiance to the town, you know, not costing the town overtime to fill their position for 25 years, just evaporated. And I'm not saying that they should get all their buyback, that's not for me to say. What I am here to say is they should be able to negotiate that with the select board to come up with something that's reasonable and fair.
So you said, Robbie, to take this out of Article 2, but Article 2 has deputy police chief at level 13 and police chief at level 14. So all those positions are in Article 2. I'm not sure if I'm understanding the procedure.
The positions are, the salaries are, my understanding is the benefits are not. So if I'm an officer, correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry?
Yeah, the proposed legislation would just take them out of Article 2. For all purposes, they negotiate with the Board of Selectmen for new contracts on everything, wages, salaries, all conditions of employment. The fact that they're in Article 2 will mean nothing.
Yeah, the Article 2 does not include the buyback and all the benefits.
The first part of this, it basically addresses sections 108A and 108C of Chapter 41. That's what creates Article 2. So notwithstanding those provisions.
This would allow the deputy chief, just got promoted, to negotiate some of the benefits he had back into his contract.
Right, and to be quite honest with you, you get promoted to deputy chief right now. If you're a sergeant right now, max top pay sergeant that gets night shift differential, right, with 28 years on, plus you get the longevity, you become deputy chief, you take a drop in pay.
Well, the other thing is you don't get the detail.
You don't get the first pick at the details, and your detail options are limited because a lot of the things that I have you do as deputy chief, you're not available to work details, that outside payment. So.
And people should understand, because I know there's been confusion, Milford makes money when an officer goes on a detail.
Correct.
Because the time and a half the officer gets paid is paid by the company who hires him. And then we have, Jerry, I don't know what the official term for the extortion.
Yeah, we have 10%, I think.
10%.
10%, yeah.
Right.
We add on 10% for billing it through our payroll system. I mean, I remember the speed sleds that were 20 grand a piece or something, that extra money paid for those and we didn't have to. Brent?
So I know you said this is not financial. I suspect this would cost money because the issue here is that people take a step down and they would presumably negotiate well and not take a step down in that role. Even though there's no dollar value in this, I'd like to make a motion favorable in this because I think we do want to make these roles attractive to the best and brightest on the force. And I think it just makes sense to do this.
Second.
Okay, motion by Brant, second by Chris. Any other Paul?
Yeah, just a quick point. So on Article 2, if you're looking at it, any of the positions that have an asterisk after them, although they are on Article 2, they are all contracted positions. So if for some reason they did do a contract, that would be available under Article 2. But those positions that are asterisked, and those are allowable by state law to be considered.
So that would be their baseline if they didn't negotiate.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Any other comments?
Motion was favorable, is that right?
Motion is favorable. Lauren?
Yeah.
David?
Yes, yes.
Joyce?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unanimous. Okay. The next one by the chief of police is mandatory retirement age.
Yeah, so this actually goes to our specials. And for all of us that voted in our last election, if you went to some of the voting polls, you saw some of the retired officers. They retained their police powers. These were the people that we could keep once police reform came through. Why? Because they were retired officers. As you know, when police reform came through, it wiped out our auxiliaries. You know, Milford was so fortunate. We had men and women that volunteered to be auxiliaries in the town, and the town enjoyed that benefit of them working, you know, parades, and just fireworks, all these things. Well, that disappeared with police reform. Police reform did concede and say if you have somebody who retires, they can stay on as your special/auxiliary. But we're not interested in people who went to a part-time academy anymore having police authority. That's a huge problem. A lot of communities down the Cape are taking a huge financial hit because they don't have their summer help. So what we have here in Milford is we're fortunate enough that our retirees stay on as auxiliaries. And honestly, it doesn't cost the town because when they're working either for a private contractor, it's paid by a private contractor. The only part the town pays for is we have to sign them up for training to make sure that they meet the standards, and we buy them, you know, some gear, like a new shirt and stuff like that, but the savings is significant. Our past election, we didn't have enough police officers. That simple. By law, you have police officers at the poll. We didn't have enough police officers. So who manned a lot of the polls? Our retirees, our specials. They came out and they manned the polls, and we had, you know, a successful election. There were no issues. The problem is a lot of our people are aging out because of 65. So I spoke with legal counsel, and, you know, I can't thank them enough for their help and guidance with this. So what I propose is that we raise the age that the specials, the retirees, can work in their capacity to 70. I'm not talking about the frontline people of the men and women in the police department. I'm talking about the specials.
And that's the biggest question that comes up, is when an individual gets 70 years old, do you want them as frontline cruiser police?
I mean, I gotta tell you what, you know, where, you know, I'm not gonna mention names, there's a couple specials right now that are in phenomenal shape. They're motivated, they're happy to be associated with the town still. They're grateful and proud of all the years that they put in here for this community, you know, but they're retired now. So they don't go out and patrol, but, you know, they spent the day talking to everybody in town at the polls. They fulfilled their duty at the polls. They helped us fulfill our mandate in having police officers there. And I think this is just an easier way to bridge that gap.
Well, Robbie, what you're saying is, if it's a special, that person still would have to be capable of fulfilling the
Right,
role.
and they do they have to pass everything still. We keep them up with all the training, you know, the CPR training, the firearms training. We do all that with them. You They're just not under control.
Your call to say, Brandt can fulfill this role.
Right,
Al
exactly.
can't.
Absolutely. And they're certified through post. Here's the other thing. The commission also certifies these specials. And if there was an issue for someone's health or overall well-being, then I wouldn't let them be a special anymore. That's all.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Andy,
Second.
second by Vincenzo. No other discussion. Roll call, Lauren.
Yeah.
David.
Yes.
Chuck.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you, Chief.
I think that's it. I think now I can leave.
Phil, sorry to...
Thanks, Robbie.
I thought it was a 5-minute exercise.
Thank you.
He's ready for bed. His eyes.
My favorite subject, PFOAs and PFAs.
You're a former chemical engineer, Al, you should have a good handle on
I
it.
spent 2 years developing assays for the...
I was just gonna say, we're gonna talk about isotopes now and everything else, Al.
Yes,
Article what?
17.
Well, do you know Dave Condry?
You mean the new hire to the water company?
Dave, how long, seriously, no joke, how long you been there? 14, 15?
2009, I think.
Yeah, so 15. I'm a good guesser. Look at that.
Dave, could you give us, because most people don't know the difference between a PFA, a PFOA, or what it means, and where do they come from?
Well, the new terminology for all of these chemicals is forever chemicals, and the main reason for that is they have a long life. They're insoluble. They don't break down. They stay as their I don't want to use the word nomenclature, but their makeup stays the same for years and years and years. They do not break down.
Isn't the argument the same as we face with DDT? When you have something fluorinated material
it
that's
just-
so nonpolar?
Yeah, it just doesn't bond with anything and doesn't get broken down.
Sounds like my 16-year-old daughter's attitude. It just doesn't break down.
So, I mean, and that's where the issue is, right? Because it's just in everything. So the gist of this particular group of chemicals is anything that is waterproof, anything that's Teflon, anything. It's almost in everything. Plastics, the old styrofoam boxes or the coated boxes that you used to get from McDonald's.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is loaded with PFAS, right? The stuff, that firefighting foam, right? It's the greatest thing in the world, but it was loaded with
You throw it away.
water repellent. Yeah, anything water repellent. And it's showing up everywhere. It's not just Milford, it's across the country. It didn't really become, and they've known about it for years. Don't get me wrong, there was a study done back in the early 80s that, they knew that the potential for it to be, hazardous down the line was out there. So, but yet, firefighters have been wearing the gear for, forever, and it's coated with it. So, the bottom line is it's now finally made it to the forefront. Massachusetts, a few years ago, along with a bunch of other communities, came up with a standard of 20 parts per trillion. I don't know if you've been noticing, but EPA just recently made these chemicals actually put it on the hazardous chemical list, and so they're going after now stopping the production of it. There's still places that are producing some form of these PFAS. So that's in the works. But they have come up with a new set of standards, which is a lot lower than the 20 parts per trillion the state currently has. It's 4 parts for 2 of them, and then they have this running average thing that you have to be a chemical scientist to understand how they came up with this running average. Bottom line is, one of the best treatments for it and removal of it is GAC, activated carbon. Fortunately, when we built Dole Street, final filters are GAC. Godfrey Brook, at the time, we weren't sure where EPA was gonna go, so when the design of Godfrey Brook was made, infrastructure is in place, meaning there's piping and valving and the ability to expand the current facility. But the GACs were not installed. Now that obviously EPA levels are now in place, that starts the clock ticking, and we basically have about 3 years. The whole state will have 3 years to come into compliance.
Mr. Chairman?
We were ahead of the game, so we're further ahead of the game by putting the article in for $250,000, which is coming out of bond premiums, and that is to cover engineering costs to get this GAC filters started. And I say started because this is just the engineering portion of it, because there's a lot of legwork that has to be done before the DEP will say, yes, that treatment.
Now, before they
process
ask,
is gonna work.
this would be charged to the water users only, correct?
So it's coming out of bond premiums?
Well, I'm saying, if I don't use Milford Town water, I don't get billed for this.
Right, it all comes out of.
That's what I'm saying, I just want to make sure, because we've had questions to say.
This isn't being added to the rate. This is coming out of premium.
This
from the
is a
bond
premium.
When they
But people don't understand bond premium.
Yeah, they don't.
Okay, they understand if, it's like sewer. Okay, if I don't use sewer, I don't get billed for any improvements to the sewer. If I don't use water, which is a lot smaller of a group, but only people who are using Milford water would be billed for this. Michael?
What is the basis for this $250,000 price tag for the engineering study?
I actually got 3 different quotes from different engineering firms. I have Tater and Howard, who is currently the engineer dealing with Godfrey Brook. I'm a little less inclined to use them because there was a few things that went on at Godfrey Brook that I wasn't real satisfied with. And so I have a subcontractor that works for me, or the water department, if you will, overseeing the entire project. And he kind of recommended a couple of other different engineering firms to actually go out who have been specializing in this whole PFAS removal, et cetera. So that was the basis.
There is grant money available, but we had to do the engineering first to qualify for grant money.
You have to get that shovel-ready
This is the
project.
tip of the iceberg,
Correct,
because the $250,000 tells you what you have to do.
yes.
Then you have to come back and do it, which would be
Estimates are around 2.6.
million. That makes more sense.
We also, just as a side note, we are part of a lawsuit that a bunch of water communities, different towns did, against several of the manufacturers. So that's an ongoing process. I know that some have settled, but, you know, who knows when we'll actually start seeing some funding for that.
Or
But there is
if.
a ton of, yeah, but there is a ton of grant money out there for it. The federal government has a big push on this.
They set aside $12 billion in that infrastructure bill that was passed 2 years ago.
So, once we get the engineering side of it, we'll be able to apply for the grants from.
I mean, the bottom line sounds like PFAs and the PFOAs, you have to do something to minimize the levels.
And the best and the most efficient, inexpensive is GAC.
Activated carbon.
The one downside of all of it is it's going to be a continuous maintenance issue, because GAC only lasts so long before you have to replace it and replenish it. So, you know, we're probably, other communities that have already been doing it, been saying about a year, are the GACs.
So you're gonna have to increase your budget every year to take care
Yeah,
of
we'll
it.
have to make sure that we have in their maintenance budget. So, but if we do in fact get some funding from the lawsuits, we've been talking to Zach to make sure we can kind of earmark that for the water department and make sure that we have funds available to.
One way or another,
to
we
keep
gotta,
going forward.
we have to protect the water supply.
Mr. Chairman, we made a commitment to this town all of us, over a 7-year period when we acquired this company, that we were going to provide good, clean, quality water to our town. This is providing good, quality water to our town. We made that commitment.
Any other questions, comments?
Well, just a
Mike?
side question. When you mentioned about the potential for grant money, does the water department write your own grant applications, or do you use somebody for that?
No, usually what I'll do is use the engineering firm that's working on that particular project. Because they have all the data, all the information.
They know how to file a grant application.
Exactly.
Any other questions?
Totally off topic. We've used Tate and Howard for
Yeah.
as long as I've been here and forever. David, you've been here way longer than me. Everything's cool with them? You say you're moving away from them? We're cool, though?
Just, I've done at Godfrey Brook, they've been involved
Okay.
with that. There were some missteps as far as the process.
None of my business. I
overall.
just got a little nervous because,
Okay.
like, they're our go-to, so.
Floor?
Motion.
Do we have?
Motion.
Motion to approve.
Lauren made a motion to approve.
Second.
Chris seconded it. No, I don't see any other hands. Roll call. Lauren?
Yes.
Dave?
Absolutely.
Chucky?
Yes.
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 Yep. Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you, kind sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Don't be mad at me, Philip.
I'm 1 out of 2.
Jerry, are you?
I voted for that one.
1 out of 2, bad fight.
Are you here for one article?
Yeah, well, maybe 2, but they're in a row. What you have done with 16 and 25.
Okay. Scott, are you okay letting him go first?
Absolutely. Better be.
I'm not in the middle.
Jerry, did you seriously just drop the "you better be"? That was awesome. He just dropped a senior on you. He was like, "You better be."
Al, he said 15.
No.
Which one you want to do first?
Pick one. 16 and 25.
Oh, it's down there, it's sale of building, this is Article 16. And if you read it, it's fairly clear what it seeks to do. And it goes back to 2017, when the town did vote to authorize the taking of 3 properties on Central Street. 2 small buildings which had collapsed, pretty much collapsed themselves, and the Stone building, which Mike Stone was using for storage and other aspects of his business. So, town meeting did vote to approve it. There wasn't a lot of discussion about what was going to be done. There was reference to the possibility of parking in open space. There was discussion, not at that time, but later, about a possible parking garage. But nothing happened for a lot of reasons. We were fortunate. We leased it to Stone for a period of 2 years.
Come on.
What?
Nothing. That was just.
We have muting issues.
Okay. Yeah, so we leased it back to Stone for 2 years. That time ran out. Nothing had happened with the building, of course. And we haven't pushed him out because we continue to collect taxes. When a commercial operation is in a public building, we collect taxes. Right now, it's a public building. As one of the other parties did, Stone filed suit, the eminent domain statutes, as he have every right to do. And that's the litigation that's referred to in the article that's still pending right now. The discussion on the Board of Selectmen has been what to do with this land, what to do. Do we really need it? Do we really want it? It was taken for specific purposes, which is very important under the law, for open space and/or parking. That's all it can be used for. I've had people say to me, well, just sell it to a developer. No, we can't do that. All it can be used for is open space for parking. In the eyes of the board, it doesn't really produce enough in terms of parking, unless one were to put up a $5 million parking garage, which really isn't going to happen because the expense and the fact that it's really not necessary. We tried that, if any of you remember, 30 years ago, and town meeting defeated it, I think, unanimously. So, there was no interest in putting up a parking garage then. So the board has concluded that the better financial deal is to settle with Stone, get the money back, give him the property back. He has plans with investors to improve it, keep it operating, make it work. We would have a substantial savings if that were done.
Right now, again, we'd get the 270,000 back. We'd avoid the risk of a jury coming back with more money, which in this day and age, eminent domain not being something that juries favor is a strong possibility. It's tough to win it, to win the eminent domain case. There's always a judgment for additional money and 7 years of substantial interest under the statute. So call that another 75,000. You're gonna have to spend about another 100,000 plus to go through the asbestos and take the building down and dispose of it. So there's another 100,000 at least. That raises the real cost of it at that point to about $450,000 at that point. And that's before you even start the construction, if you're gonna just do parking flat, parking as part of the lot. Because it's a difficult grade and you have to put up retaining walls and other aspects of it to really do it. So you'd be talking about a very, very substantial investment to get the minimal spaces out of it, which I've heard numbers from 12 to 24 spaces that we would get out from doing this. And the select board this select board concluded it really isn't necessary, not going to serve any public purpose. We did get rid of the two small buildings that were, collapsing on themselves and were a hazard, and that was good. But running that risk of having to spend $650,000 for a few parking spaces, the board doesn't feel that's necessary. So we have a tentative agreement subject to town meeting with Mr. Stone where he would get the building back, we would get the money back, and that would be it. So the board is in favor of this. They've discussed it carefully.
Any questions, comments? Chris?
Jerry?
Yeah.
Just as a refresher, when we did this at town meeting, you, I, and a bunch of other people were totally in favor of doing this.
Town meeting voted that strongly for it.
No,
question.
I was on board, Jerry, and I can't remember what your vote was, and I'm not trying to tell you, so it's none of my business. But my point is, we all said we were going to do this project.
Well,
I have a hard time on take-backs, because when it was sold to us at the time, it was a great idea, and now all of a sudden, 3 new people say this isn't a good idea anymore. And I understand that there's costs involved. The complete idea of opening up that area, which, no offense, Central Street needs this open space, whether it's parking or I don't care if you put a fountain there. Central Street could use these 3 buildings being gone. I think you and I may be on the same page.
If you feel that way, then you should.
But my point is, it was sold to us and everybody bought into it and we all voted on it. And now we're saying we want to do a take back on what everybody agreed to 5 years ago.
Yeah, and if you remember the town meeting, I was like somewhat surprised because there was no discussion. There were no questions. There was no presentation. It was like,
You're right.
well, we have a plan. We hope to use it.
You're right. No, you're right. You're right.
Which is regrettable. I really anticipated more discussion and debate. But that is what it is. And again, if you still feel that expenditure of maybe what'll be $600,000 is worth it, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you what the position of the board is.
So I remember, Jerry, that come out, I think this was my first year here, and that was in the context of the downtown revitalization commission?
No, it wasn't in the context of any specific plan or specific program. Certainly it was part of some concept that the people had for downtown revitalization, but it wasn't that we had a revitalization plan or anything like that.
But the parking was the main thing, so I'm trying to understand if people decided that we don't really need the parking, or is it the lawsuit is just considered not worth the effort, or?
I think and I can't speak for the board on this precisely, this is what their individual thinking was, but I think their thinking was the parking we would get out of this if we took the building down, lost the tax revenue, that's a sort of aside, took the building down, would not be worth the, perhaps, my estimate, $600,000 it would take to make that.
You're talking $100,000 a space.
Well, it depends on how many spaces, and I've heard different reports.
Well, whether it's 80 or 100.
Yeah, well, no, when you think, yeah, the high number is 24.
24 spaces?
That, I think, is the high number.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, the board concluded, rightly or wrongly, they concluded, in their view, it's really not a good investment, so. That's the article, and people can feel otherwise, I understand that.
Just if I could just play back.
Sure.
I think I probably joined very soon after this one. We took this by eminent domain
Yes.
to start with. Okay, so now Mr. Stone has been engaging with us, and, you know, we're in that, he's going through a weird experience, is what I'm sort of.
Well, yeah, it's been a strange experience, I suppose, for him, because he's been allowed to use the building, and he doesn't own it anymore. He has to pay taxes, which, again, it's a positive for us, it has been, as it's, you know, if we throw them out right away, we'd be losing those tax
But that's like a
dollars.
pilot. That's like a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes.
Well, it is the statute that requires
Very
anybody,
close.
commercial entities to use town property has to pay taxes on it. So he's using it, he pays the taxes on it. But you know, he wasn't pleased, obviously, to put it mildly, that we did the taking. Nobody's ever pleased when you do takings. So he wasn't pleased, and he had every right to file suit, and he did. And that's going through the process right now. But that's not, I don't believe that's what's driving the board. It's not the litigation itself. The litigation would be settled through this, and that's some financial positive. It's the totality of it, that they just don't feel
It's worth 600 grand.
what the spaces we would get would be worth that.
I think it is interesting to reflect on this, like when, I feel like when we take something from a domain, we should really mean it. Like the idea that we're revisiting this is a little stunning to me. I'm a newcomer to this conversation, right? You probably lived with this for a little while, so you're watching me absorb it all live.
And part of the reason I'm here, I did the taking, you know, in 2017.
Okay, Paul, then Michael.
I just had two questions. Jerry, do we have any liability on the property should somebody either get hurt, a chunk of the building fall off, or is there liability to the town for that?
If that ever happened, sure, it would be.
So the town's responsible for
Yeah, right today.
Yeah, we own
if
it.
anybody got injured on the property. The other question was, the initial two lots, those were contiguous to the parking area at the top?
They are, all three lots are contiguous to that parking area.
Okay.
So we took the two buildings down, we left it as open space, you see it's grass.
Did they make any parking spaces
No.
out of that?
No.
Not that you're aware of? Okay.
I am not
Yeah.
100%
Okay.
certain.
Michael?
Reference to us leasing the use back to him, I seem to recall a discussion at this committee here recently that the town has no business being a landlord. To the point of, yes, that sounds like we should move forward on it.
Lauren?
Sorry, I was looking it up myself. Jerry, I was just wondering, and I know you can't go into specifics at all, but where are you in the litigation right now? Are you at the discovery stage? Do you have a tentative settlement agreement subject to town meeting approval? Like, what are you at?
Yeah, it's still in progress, and as the litigation goes, we have a pretrial conference scheduled for later in the year. And then we'll go through the course, probably tried next year. But yes, we have a tentative agreement to settle it on this basis, him returning the money, we returning the building, subject to town meeting approval. If the town meeting doesn't approve it, the litigation will go ahead.
And this taking was based solely on blight, so Stone was not maintaining the property and it was causing a hazard, or?
No, it wasn't based on blight. The city of town can't do that. We can't take, a redevelopment authority could do that. A redevelopment authority could take it and could market it and sell it, just as we did on Bear Hill for Data General. But the city of town can't take it just because it's blighted. We can take it for a specific public purpose, and we took it for purposes of open space and parking. So that's all we can ever use it for. But not because it was blighted, because I think, I shouldn't say that, because part of it was the buildings that were really blighted. But I think the feeling at the time was parking would be worthwhile for parking.
I have a question.
I guess I'm trying to understand why it was that particular property, because, I mean,
Again, two of the properties were collapsing. They were in bad shape. They weren't going to be rehabilitated.
Okay, all right.
This one, on the outside, it looks like it's in bad shape, but I don't think it's in that danger of collapse. It hasn't been for many years, but it's never looked good. So I'm sure that influenced a lot of it.
Vinnie?
Yeah, Jerry, I know the area very well, and I don't think parking is a big demand there. Every time I drive by there's always plenty of spaces for parking. So I don't think we'd be gaining anything, 24 spaces at the most. That parking lot, either from one end of the town where the other street comes up, and this Central Street, there's always plenty of room for parking. So I think we'd be doing a good thing by giving it back, getting money, and also receiving payment for taxes, correct? And Mr. Stone is in the, I think you mentioned Mr. Stone wants to get it with the developer and revitalize it.
Okay.
heard correctly, so.
Well, we would get taxes if he owns the building, he pays taxes.
Totally on the tax rolls, right?
Yeah.
Makes an improvement, that may up the taxes.
And
We
you
don't
know-
have a parking shortage, so.
Any other
You
questions?
take those other lots too, you mentioned there's some.
We did take those aren't part of this. We've taken those, we own them now.
So those would stay with us?
Yes.
Okay.
And you could, spending the money, you could make parking spaces there, 2, 3, 4, I don't know. You could do that.
Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Vinnie?
Favorable.
Favorable motion.
I'll second.
Andy, second. Lauren, roll call.
No.
Negative. David?
Yes.
Oh, Jerry?
No.
Okay, 2 noes, 1 yes.
Yes.
No.
3 noes, 2 yeses.
Chucky?
Good job.
Oh,
Oh,
Chucky,
sorry, I apologize, sir.
you disappeared. Chuck,
I'm gonna,
what'd he say?
I don't know. Say it again, Chuck.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, I'm having a problem with my Zoom, so,
yes or no?
yes.
Okay, so that makes it 4-2?
Sure, Andy, now.
I don't know where we are,
I
yes.
get 3 no's.
4-3.
Take it all the way through and total it at the end.
You smart ass.
4-4.
Yes.
5-4, 6-4. 6-4.
Who was the other one that said no?
As a no.
6-4, it is passed, accepted. Okay, the next one is deja vu.
For me, it is. This started in 2005, when this all began. This all began with Benjamin Moore. And you remember that, you've been around long enough. It all comes out of the hazardous materials.
$50,000 is what we were going to spend.
Yeah, you remember that?
Trust me, I never said that, because it was dangerous. I mean, the fight we had in court, and we tried to succeed on, was to get the Commonwealth to recognize, the DEP to recognize that we had what's called downgradient property status, which would have meant we couldn't be forced to do any work down there. We lost. The court stayed with the DEP. We couldn't do it. There was no point in appealing it. But we had spent a lot of money at that point in time, and we were able to enlist the Army Corps of Engineers to come down and help us out and spend their money, which they had spent at that point in time, and do a substantial cleanup, not the whole thing by any stretch. And we had hopes that the DEP would say, that's fine, that's enough. And it all did go quiet for a while, which is all we could hope for. Well, it's back now. And now they're going to insist on full accounting of it and the full process of cleanup, of the analysis that leads up to a possible cleanup. So we have a company, Haley and Aldrich, which is very, very good. That's the company we used in the Woodland School case and a number of other things. They're extremely good, and particularly good in this field as licensed site professionals. We have to present plans to the DEP on certain timelines, and it costs money to do these plans. So the number I think we're looking for, Rick, is 250,000?
That's what we have now.
250,000, yeah. But this will take us through what's called phase 3, but highly likely that town will have to come back. 'Cause we'll try to work with DEP, we'll try to minimize it. A lot of the stuff is under the bike trail.
Yep.
It shouldn't be a problem to anybody. We really had hopes the DEP would just let it go. But,
It costs us a fortune.
so I think we have to do it.
Make a favorable motion.
Second, you gotta do it. Has to be done.
Any questions?
Sorry, Lauren.
I have a question.
Lauren?
Jerry, I'm just wondering, do we have any subrogation opportunities against whoever polluted that
Those people
area?
who polluted it have been out of business for 50 years, and we did have a lot.
That's what I thought, okay.
It's long gone. And the town didn't even own anything up there until, 30 years after that. But yet now here we are, as the landowner, we have to clean it up.
Jerry, just to get my record straight, Phase 1 was $350,000 by the engineers.
Well, that's right.
Yes.
What was Phase 2, Rick?
That's all we've appropriated so far, is that. That hopefully is taking us through phase 2. This will be for phase 3. There are 2 additional phases. This is not.
So we appropriated $250 for Phase 2?
I believe it.
It's a $500,000 already.
But you mentioned this was phase 3.
We did 220.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
220 was
if
phase
you recall
one.
this time last year, we did an emergency reserve fund transfer of $30K because we needed to get going during.
So
the
phase
spring
2 is 30?
No, phase 1 and 2 was the 250. We're on to now phase 3. The original appropriation took care of phase 1.
The article at the May
Okay.
town
Run it
meeting
for
was
a half.
220.
So that was phase 1 plus 2 was, okay. I just want to make sure I got my notes right.
Also, Benjamin Moore, Jerry, as you know, is also dealing with DEP on this also.
Yeah,
So
because it does affect them.
we're not in it alone, like, yes.
Right, it affects them because some of it's on their property, so.
Any other questions? Sounds like we got no choice.
Hazardous waste, it seems to be the.
DEP administrative orders, so.
250. Motion,
It's already been made.
I made one, Chris.
Brant and Chris. Roll call, Lauren,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Chucky,
Yes.
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 Yep.
Yes.
unanimous. Thank you, Jerry.
All right, thank you. Scott, come on now.
Thanks, Sherry.
Thanks, Jerry. Oh, no problem. Age before beauty, right? Absolutely.
You're just happy the band's not playing tonight. That's the only reason.
I guess we can start with the easy one. It snowed, we had it removed, now we have to pay for it.
Okay.
How much is the number?
And before we start with snow and ice, Scott, we agree that I was not hallucinating before on our numbers.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, you do have to take that vote on Department 422, please. So we can do snow and ice first, whatever's the pleasure.
Okay.
Accept it as presented.
How much is 29? Is that 124 still?
Yes, sir.
What
Any-
article is this?
This is Article 29. Any questions on paying for what we had removed?
Motion favorable?
Nicholson, favorable motion.
Second.
Vinnie, second. Lauren, roll call.
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Chucky,
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
unanimous.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to have to grab my train home now, so I'm going to have to leave the meeting. But so thank you.
Thank you for coming.
All right. Thanks for having me.
422, I think we still have to vote on that. don't we?
Can we ask the speaker to step up to the mic, please, so we can hear?
He's moved the mic closer to the speaker.
How's that, Jerry?
Yeah, you're still not coming through very clear.
Push your ear close to the microphone.
22, Board of Assessors.
No, highway construction, 422. This is budget, 422.
Right in front of Al. That's the
Is that
wrong
9
mic.
o'clock?
That's for the TV. The Zoom one is speakerphone on the table.
Scott, you're fine.
That microphone is not working, the one in front of him?
It isn't breathing, so.
TV.
Oh,
It's also red.
But that's,
well,
no, but that didn't,
being red, would-
because Jerry's,
Push the button.
but Jerry, Jerry's,
You can just hold it in your hand,
Jerry,
Scott. like-
Jerry's the microphone.
Like you're a
that's-
performer.
You got a regular mic? That isn't Jerry's microphone, that's Jerry's microphone.
okay,
Ask him to the microphone.
422 is a budget item, highway construction for 1488258. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Motion.
Who made that?
I did.
Chris. Motion favorable by Chris, second by Andy. I think we beat this to death, we just didn't know the number.
We did, exactly.
Roll call, Lauren,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Chucky,
Yes.
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 Yep.
Yes.
unanimous. Okay, so the next one to go over is the Central Street Bridge. Again, we've had number 20, article number 20. We've had multiple discussions on this. We didn't know the exact number. We know the exact number.
The exact number is 1.3 million. The safety number was 1.5, is what we talked about.
So what is your proposal?
1.5. We discussed that last meeting. We went with 1.5.
Any new questions? And obviously, the 1.5, you'll spend what you have to, and if it comes back, it doesn't get spent anywhere. It gets put back in the general fund.
Of course.
Do we have a traffic plan?
Traffic plan is to shut the bridge down.
No, I mean, people going back and forth on Central Street.
Now, my understanding is we can save
Completely
money
shut down
by
or one
shutting.
lane?
It's going to be completely shut down for
The
3 to 4
original
months.
1.9 meant doing one side of Central Street, then another. To save money, we'll shut it down for,
Yeah, it's saving about 400,000 to 500,000 shutting it
save
down.
$500,000 by shutting Central Street down for 3 months. Any other questions?
The timing is going to be summertime into maybe early fall. We're going to try to start first thing in the summer.
Timing's gonna stink no matter what.
Well, I mean, the summer's better than school, so,
It's less stinky.
yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
Okay. No other questions? Lauren, favorable motion for 1.5.
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes, what's the source of funding now?
Hold on. That was on that other sheet. You have
Free cash.
free cash. Chucky?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Yes.
Come on.
Unanimous.
He's obviously watching the Bruins game, which I'm not excited about. If he's making comments like that, we got to be down at least 3-1.
The motion is for 1.5 million.
Unable to check my phone, but we got to be down 3-1.
Seconded it.
Oh, Chucky, I love you.
Okay, the next one is Godfrey Brook, water, what we
good?
discussed with water.
Thank you.
So we were left at 1,077,000, but I think we upped that to 1.1.
What's the article?
Yes. Article number 9, Godfrey Brook, but we referred to it as Water Street by the old phone company. Again, just to refresh everybody's memory, not much choice, it's falling in, it's causing flooding of homes and the street.
And there is a FEMA grant for that, too. That's part of
But
it.
this is our part of it,
Yes.
because we'd originally forecasted a lot less money, and when the bids came in, they were much higher.
Yes, exactly what happened.
Can you remind us how much is left? We've been doing this in chunks, and that's sort of.
The major parts are all done after this, that's it. And then we have some smaller parts, then we start the next brook, the O'Brien Brook.
How many more brooks do we have?
We got 3 big
Well, then there's the
ones.
hospital brook.
Godfrey,
And Hospital Brook.
Hospital Brook,
But
which
this
is
is the first one that channelized that needs the work, and then we're.
This is the big boy.
This is the worst one of them all. so.
back when we
Thought I asked you.
we estimated it would be over $20 million in totality. But Scotty's been able to get grants along the way, so what we didn't want to do is fund it. Because once you do it, you fund it, the chance of getting a grant for it is negligible. So we've been doing pieces.
Step by step, yep.
But the fact that this is a continuation of a long-term plan as well as we're getting grants, I will make a favorable motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, favorable motion, we have a second. Grant seconds it. This is Article 9 for 1.1 million that we've discussed at the last meeting. Lauren, roll call.
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
unanimous.
Mr. Chair, just for the record, for consideration in your report, we'll be using for funding source, we have $261,000 available on a capital project from the last time we did improvements on Godfrey Brook. Scott was able to recoup further funding from FEMA and we left it in that account knowing that we would have future projects, so of the ask, 261,000 is covered.
Mint.
Of the 1.1 million?
Yeah, that's the number we just voted?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
263 from previous?
261.
261. I'll give you the exact number in an email.
So do I use
That's
that
awesome.
1.1 million?
So, Zach, do we allocate 1.1 or do we take the 260 off?
The 260 will be a funding source from the capital
To make up
project.
the 1.1.
Of the total. Yeah, of the total, yes. It'll be in the motion at town meeting. Yeah, the difference will be raised and appropriated.
Okay,
So I
we use 1.1,
What article was Central Street?
20.
20?
Okay, roll call, and all in favor? Lauren?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, we got that one.
We should vote the same way twice.
Do you have anything else for you, Scotty?
There's Parks ones, but I think you went over that with Jimmy,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that,
and I got to present them anyway, so.
well, I don't mind who presents it. I think that's it.
Good.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Dr. Galani and Dr. Taylor.
Let's finish this off. We have a couple left,
You're
right?
looking at, which article?
Well, start going down the list. We can start on Article 12, the school feasibility project. We met and discussed it before, but it seems like the number now is 2.75.
I just learned of that yesterday from Mr. Moran, so I was under the impression it was 2.5, but I know there was that presentation on Monday, and I believe the school committee had met, and they're concerned, kind of the same concern you just heard from the highway surveyor, that by the time they actually bid it, it may not, they want to avoid the risk of not having a sufficient appropriation. This will be the funding source coming from stabilization, so I don't have crazy heartburn over the change. Short-term stabilization, so I don't have a problem with the change to 275.
It has to be 275.
Well, no, the issue that came up was that the latest data from other schools is pushing it to 2.5, 2.5-ish. And if we allocate a number and it comes up short, we then have to have an emergency town meeting
That's my point.
or
It has to be
fall
275.
off the list because we won't have enough money to meet the funding criteria.
Exactly.
The good news is, if it's 2.75 and they don't spend it, which hopefully they won't, all that money comes right back to the general fund. It cannot be reallocated or spent on anything else.
Motion for 2.75 million, Mr. Chairman.
Chris?
Second.
Lauren, second. No other discussion. Lauren, roll call.
Yes.
Chucky?
Yes.
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 Unanimous. Okay, give me a second to catch up. Let's go through a couple of the easier ones. Norfolk Aggie, number 18.
18, yeah.
My understanding is that we got 4 more students than we planned on at an average of $25,000 per student to pay the tuition at Norfolk Aggie. We need $100,000 in this budget. This is not for-
27,000.
Huh?
27,000.
Holy.
27,000. So should we?
It's like sending a kid to
27
college.
times 4.
It's like sending a kid to college.
128.
Yep.
Come on.
108.
108.
108.
Yeah. The ask is 100, though. Somewhat like snow and ice type situation where we appropriate a budget and we're not
Take care of it
certain what we're
later.
going to take. The other issue that shouldn't be overlooked is transportation costs. Is just through the roof, not just there, everywhere. So that's impacting this as well. But to square up for the current fiscal year, it would be 100,000.
To square up, Mr. Chairman, we got to do it.
We don't have a choice. I mean, it
Exactly.
seems interesting that it costs more to send a student to Norfolk Aggie than UMass.
That's why you said it, Joycey. It's like sending a kid to college.
How many students do we have at this place?
I would be making up an answer if I gave it to you. I don't
Well, I
know.
mean,
It's under 20.
It does raise the broader question about, A, whether there are other agricultural schools, and two, should we be funding these? It's at least the question.
One, yes, but not available to us. It's kind of like a BVT thing.
Okay. You have
If
to
a
be in that
parent
region.
wanted to enroll them in East Overshoe Aggie, they probably could get there, but they'd have to provide the transportation.
We'd spend more on transportation than we would on the
So
tuition.
there's no choice. And the second question, do we have a choice? No.
Yeah.
If the program is available at BVT, then they go to BVT. The Aggie programs aren't available at BVT, so we have to send them to Norfolk Aggie. That's my understanding.
That's right. What's the amount?
100,000. Article 18.
So I'll make a favorable motion.
Grant, favorable motion.
Second.
Mike Nicholson, second. I see no hands up. Lauren, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Unanimous. Okay. BVT Capital, Article 15. We discussed that this is the first time in a long time that BVT's come to us for capital. We pay one, I think it's like a $10 million project that our portion of it, since we're one of 13 towns, was about 60, but we needed a real number.
That's the extent of what I know. Can we kick this one to
Do
the
that
May
May
1st? I'll bring Chris
Pillow,
Pillar in, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for that one.
Nor was I.
We're either going to kick it to the first or to the meeting just before town meeting.
We'll be ready at the first.
Oh, yeah.
Motion favorable?
No, we can't vote on anything.
We don't have a dollar.
Because we don't have a number.
Okay. Withdrawn.
The article's just seeking authorization. But we'll kick
I would-
it to May, kick it to May, May 1st, yeah. We'll bring Chris in.
Article number 13, the Utes.
Yeah, that was one I had spoken to you about. We're going to move that one to May 1st. I'm going to bring Town Council Murray in. He has the most intimate knowledge of the building and the litigation that we're ongoing in, that we're involved in right now, so. And
Representative Murray is off getting us more money.
I hope so.
Hope so.
I hope so. He's probably.
Negotiations, so we're going to move that to May 1st.
Yes,
High
please.
Cheapest building they ever bought.
It only costs $1.
That's what I say.
If I'm right, the only, oh no, fire suppression, we forgot Article 10. Library, fire suppression system.
No, we already did
I
that.
thought we already did that.
The number
We did that.
we needed, we said it was 170, is that accurate?
Yes.
I believe so, yes. I thought we already.
We've gone through that. This was a discussion for the fall town meeting. The reason it's coming up at the spring town meeting is they weren't ready with up-to-date bids at fall, so we asked them to push it off to the spring. So it comes up under the special conditions. It's not an emergency, but it is a special conditions, since we asked them to put it off. It's $170,000. The fire suppression system needs replaced. It's now the fire sludge system. Do I have a motion?
Come on.
10.
All right, we're obviously down 4-0 now at this
I
point.
think it's because he's getting kicked. It's because he's getting kicked off soon.
I'll make a favorable motion.
Favorable motion by Brandt,
I don't think it's Bruins.
second by
They were losing.
Vinnie.
I know.
Roll call, Lauren.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Unanimous.
What happened to Article 13?
We don't fund it
Article
to
13 is being pushed to May
the next
1st.
meeting.
as is Article 15.
Yeah, I got that one.
Those should be the only two left, eh?
30 and 31.
Well,
Yeah, for the transfers, I'd like to do that at May 1st, buy me one more week to kind of see what's out there. There will be some. And at the same time, you probably want to, unless Tom wants to present the closeout, he's
You
got
have
some good
31?
news on it.
I have 30, which is the closeout of
30.
articles.
31 is balanced.
Yeah.
Do you have that for tonight?
Yes, I do.
Oh, great.
And again, these are articles that are to be closed out. The monies haven't been fully expended, but the projects associated with the articles are complete. So the total amount, we are already prepared to close up and prepared to put back into the free cash, the general fund, is $2,291,358.99 or $359.
No, this comes under the fact that town meeting giveth and only town meeting can taketh back.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and there's two major.
I was gonna say, Brian, you gotta give us some details.
Yes.
and then get them in a raise too, because that was a good
That's what
number.
I'm gonna do.
He's already in the contract on Article 2.
Oh, Papa Danza, don't ruin my joke.
One of the biggest is the
Yeah.
modular classrooms that originally was budgeted for approximately $4 million, and it came in under 2, so the total amount to be refunded back is, for that particular article, $2,056,496. So again, that's the difference of the original appropriation and what was actually expended. So that's coming back.
How could that budget be so far off?
Well, I guess what happened was they got an initial estimate, and then when they actually brought in 2 or 3 others,
2 or 3 of the bids came in at
much lower than they anticipated.
point something, and then one came in, and it turns out it was a good bid at 1 point something. So there was 2 million variance.
They opened 3 months late, but that's probably why.
Now, Zach, I've got a question.
Okay.
This shows Article 30 Highway of town meeting 2007 is 185,000.
Yep, all right, perfect. I was going to bring this up if you didn't ask. Nothing gets by you. So I had left this account open also for this exact purpose of what we're talking about with Godfrey Brook. However, seeing that, so this other one I mentioned earlier is in a capital project, which is a 4,000 series, so it's still an article, it's set up elsewhere. We'll be seeking to use that. I thought this article would get really, really busy if we had raise and appropriate, FEMA grant money, reallocate the capital project, and reallocate this account. So to avoid any confusion there, I think it might be easier. Close it out to free cash, we'll reuse it in October when I have it certified.
And we don't need,
End of the day, same result.
but we don't need that money right now.
No.
It's cleaner, it makes sense.
Cleaner, it's
It
less
makes sense. I just
confusing.
want to make a note that we're doing this because we don't need it right now.
Exactly.
Any questions? Okay, we'll make this list part of our report to town meeting as presented, and then we'll wait for your balanced budget. Lauren, roll call.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute, who made a favorable?
You didn't have one yet. You didn't have one.
There's no motion.
Grant, favorable, second.
Second,
Lauren, second. Roll call, Lauren.
yes.
Chucky,
Yes.
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 unanimous.
Closeouts.
Paul, you'll post these on our drive.
Chairman,
Great job, everybody.
Yes, sir.
there's having some problem with my Zoom here, so if you don't see me, it's not me, it's my computer.
I believe you.
I keep trying to come back, but I'll try.
Just don't say the score of the game because I'm TiVoing it, okay? Please, Chucky.
Okay. Article 4, from the Select Board, we talked about a 6.22% overall increase for a total budget of $152,285,088.
Motion to accept, sir.
Wait a second, is that the right number?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
What is it, 150?
152,285,088. And Chris Moore made the motion to accept.
The big enchilada.
You're off $1. It's 887.
887.
That's what I have.
Well, that'll kill the budget.
Start all over again.
Bring all the department heads back in, please.
Yeah.
152, 258087, right?
258 or
285.
285087.
Don't do this, Brownie. We're gonna have to bring police in and ask them.
Seriously, they're all gonna come back.
Yeah,
And school
unfortunately.
committee's got a 50-cent reduction. No. Okay, got a motion?
Yes, sir.
And a second?
Who seconded it?
Lazat.
Benny.
Oh, Vinnie. Roll call, favorable vote. Lauren,
Yes.
Chucky,
Yes.
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 unanimous.
Great job, you two.
Thank you. Appreciate
Seriously, ridiculous.
Now, we had, the last item I have on my active list is a review of the state reduction in fund. Paul, you want to give us a 5-minute overview?
3?
One.
Double.
You just sit over here.
You come over there next to Zach so we.
So the second iteration of the state funding comes from the House Ways and Means Committee. So there's good news and bad news. The good news is they increased the receipts by 197,511. So we're getting an increase in the receipts from the state. The bad news is they're increasing the assessments by 286,000. So the assessments are the amount that gets held back from the cherry sheet revenues that come to the towns, the local receipts. So the net change is about $89,000, $90,000 to the negative on that. So, we haven't locked in all the revenue sources for next fiscal year yet, and those won't actually be finalized until we do the tax recap for the October town meeting.
Is it safe to say that we can cover it with unallocated levy?
Yes.
Yeah, right now, we have a balanced budget right now, so we're not overly concerned about this. There'll be another iteration, there'll be at least 2 more iterations before the state is final with allocating the funds to the towns.
Yeah. We don't want to overreact and change the numbers.
No, that's what I'm saying. We just
Yeah.
voted on a $152 million budget.
Yeah.
If it varies a teensy bit, even teens being a very big.
We're okay
Yeah.
right now.
There's a likelihood that new growth will come in to the same level.
Well, you got your fudge
As of
factory
now,
new growth.
yeah.
Or we could switch to single-ply toilet paper, and then we'll be fine. Right, at this point?
Oh, these are the numbers you distributed the other day, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and they're posted on our drive. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're on the state site, so anybody has access.
So it sounds like
It's
we-
2, right? Yeah, so we got 2 more.
We are okay.
Yeah.
90 grand loss has never been.
No.
Yeah, and I will.
But it could've been a
I'll
lot
give
worse, Mr.
detailed
Chairman.
explanation of a presentation next week of the overall picture.
So, any other items that we should, oh, wait a minute. Invitation to speak it.
Well, I'll wait till next.
Wait till the first?
Yeah, it's like,
It'll be on the first. First should be a pretty quick meeting, but it is important. Please keep it in your calendar.
Oh, come on.
Because we do need,
We got to get Chris George at Chucky's house immediately.
any other questions?
Hey, 90,000 could have been a lot worse, Mr. Chairman. I think we're actually in pretty good shape on that.
Brant's favorite motion?
To adjourn. Adjourn. Second.
Second?
Second.
By Michael Nicholson. Motion to adjourn is not debatable. Roll call. Lauren?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Approved. We will adjourn. Anybody who's still awake and watching, thank you for bearing with us. We will meet again. I have posted an agenda for the first. I will modify it. We have less articles.
I don't think I made any friends today.
Thank you and good night.